Attention passionate Montreal, Canadiens fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the Atlantic Division and it could shake up the entire conference. We're talking about a direct impact on Montreal Canadiens' path to another Stanley Cup run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Montreal Canadiens fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Montreal Canadiens fans. Let's get to the news. As we sit here in the quiet days of the offseason, the NHL landscape is buzzing, and the Montreal Canadiens are front and center in the conversation. The NHL entry draft has come and gone, and now all eyes are on free agency, which is shaping up to be one of the most intriguing in recent memory. Now, the Canadiens have made some moves already, but the story isn't just about who they signed or traded for, it's about what they're planning to do next, how they're positioning themselves to return to playoff contention and maybe even challenge for that elusive Stanley Cup. First, let's set the stage. The 2025 free agent class is loaded with talent, featuring some big names like Mitch Marner, Brad Marchand, and Aaron Ekblad. These are players that could change the dynamics of any team they join, but for Montreal, it's a story of strategic patience and targeted moves rather than splashy signings. Some of the biggest dominoes have already fallen. John Tavares re-signed with the Islanders, Matt Duchene committed to a new chapter in Nashville, and Claude Giroux stayed put in Ottawa. So, with these key players off the board, the Canadiens are looking at a different approach this summer. They've been linked in the past to high-impact wingers like Brock Boeser and Nikolaj Ehlers, both of whom could add offensive punch to the roster. But interestingly, Montreal has already made a significant splash this offseason by acquiring Noah Dobson from the New York Islanders, signing him to an 8-year extension that's worth a hefty $9.5 million per year. That's a clear message from the Canadiens' management. They're serious about building a strong, stable core, especially on the defensive side of things. Dobson is only 24, and he's shown flashes of being a top-tier defenseman, capable of logging big minutes and contributing offensively. This move indicates that Montreal wants to solidify their defensive backbone for the long term, which is crucial when aiming for deep playoff runs. But even with Dobson locked into a long-term deal, the Canadiens still need to bolster their offense. The question is, where will they find that additional scoring punch? They have some promising young players, but they also need veterans who can provide consistency and leadership on and off the ice. So, naturally, fans are wondering, what are the realistic options in free agency? And that's where the story gets even more interesting because, despite the chatter around big names, Montreal's strategy seems to be more about targeted additions rather than chasing after the biggest contracts. Now, let's dive into some of these options, because I think it's worth analyzing who could fit into the Canadiens' plans, both in terms of skill and team chemistry. Patrick Kane, for example, is a name that often gets overlooked in the current free agency frenzy, possibly because everyone's so focused on the younger stars or the more obvious veterans. But Kane, at 36, still proved he can produce at a high level with the Detroit Red Wings, tallying 59 points in 72 games this season. That's impressive for a player his age, and it shows that he still has that offensive spark, that elite hockey IQ that can make a difference on any line. The fascinating part is that Steve Yzerman, Detroit's GM, has expressed confidence that a deal with Kane will get done. But what if Montreal, with its rich history of veteran leadership and offensive talent, could tempt Kane to come east? Imagine Kane fitting into the Canadiens' second line, playing alongside Kirby Dach, a player he's familiar with from their Chicago days, and a promising rookie like Ivan Demidov. That kind of chemistry, combined with Kane's ability to generate scoring chances, could be exactly what Montreal needs to enhance their power play and overall offensive depth. And let's not forget the financial side. Kane's current deal with Detroit pays him only $4 million a year, which is incredibly reasonable given his production. If Montreal could bring him in at a similar salary or slightly more, it would be a tremendous value signing. Kane isn't chasing a massive payday at this stage of his career. He's more about winning and contributing to a team with potential. His experience, especially in playoff situations, is invaluable, and he could be the spark plug that ignites Montreal's offense in critical moments. Moving on, another veteran who could make a significant impact is Corey Perry. Now, many fans remember Perry from Montreal's unforgettable run to the Stanley Cup final in 2021. Perry is a player who embodies grit, leadership, and playoff experience. At 40, he's chasing his second Stanley Cup, and despite his age, he still finds ways to contribute offensively. This season, Perry scored 19 goals and earned 30 points while playing for the Edmonton Oilers. His size, tenacity, and playoff pedigree make him an ideal candidate for a team like Montreal, which could certainly use more veteran leadership and playoff know-how. What's interesting is that Perry could be signed for under $2 million per year, a bargain for what he brings to the table. His experience in high-pressure situations, combined with his physical style of play, could help the Canadiens in their quest to become more resilient and tougher to play against. Perry's leadership is often understated but critical, especially for a team with young players trying to find their footing in the league. Bringing him in would also send a message to the locker room that Montreal is serious about winning now and building a culture of competitiveness. Then, there's Tanner Jeannot, a player who has become known as one of the toughest customers in the NHL. Jeannot's name might not be as flashy as others, but his size, grit, and physicality bring an element that Montreal desperately needs. In recent seasons, the Canadiens have struggled with opponents who bring physicality and toughness, and Jeannot could be that player to change that dynamic. He scored 41 points, including 24 goals during the 2021-22 season, and even if he hasn't matched those numbers since, his role isn't solely about scoring. It's about bringing energy, protecting his teammates, and setting the tone physically. The Canadiens got a taste of what happens when they face tough opponents. They got bullied by teams like Washington Capitals, and that's a clear sign that they need to add some muscle. Jeannot's contract demands are modest. If Montreal can sign him for under $2 million annually, it could be one of the smarter signings of the summer. His presence would not only boost the team's physicality, but also serve as a wake-up call for the younger players to elevate their game in terms of grit and resilience. Now, Montreal's youth movement is in full swing, with players like Joshua Roy, Owen Beck, and Oliver Kapanen pushing hard for roster spots. These young talents are promising, but they still need guidance, and adding veteran presence like Perry or Jeannot can help accelerate their development. It's about creating a balanced roster, mixing youth and experience, skill and toughness. The Canadiens are building something special, and these off-season moves are all about laying that groundwork for future success. Of course, it's not just about filling roster spots with big names or veterans. It's about strategic additions, players who fit the Canadiens' style of play, their team culture, and their long-term vision. The front office has shown patience, making calculated moves like the Dobson extension, and I think they'll continue to do so. Montreal fans should be excited because this summer could be pivotal in shaping the team's identity for the upcoming seasons. With the right signings, they could become a much tougher, more dynamic team capable of competing deep into the playoffs. As we look ahead, it's clear that the Canadiens are not just aiming to patch holes, but to build something sustainable. They want to be a team that plays fast, plays hard, and can withstand the physicality of the playoffs. The combination of young talent, veteran leadership, and strategic signings can set them up for a successful future. And fans should keep their eyes peeled because, with each move, Montreal is sending a message they're here to contend. And now, Montreal Canadiens fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this offseason? Do you think the Canadiens should go after more big-name free agents, or do you believe their strategy of targeted signings and building from within will pay off? Are you excited about the potential additions like Kane, Perry, or Jeannot? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Canadiens. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Montreal Canadiens news. This team is on the rise, and with your support, we'll be right here, covering every step of their journey. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Canadiens!